Okay, gentlemen, we're back. It's times 3 at the West Hollywood Silver Spoon, and we have our usual regulars, Don Sherman on the left, and on your screen right is Harry E. Northup, poet and actor champion.
The E stands for what, Harry?
You asked me that in the first show, Everett. E-V-E-R-E-T-T.
Well, the first show was a long time ago. We've done a lot of shows since then.
I think about 30 shows, yeah.
I came back from the Philippines, so they asked me to sign my name. I had to look at my driver's license to make sure I spelled Everett the right way, whether there's 2 R's in there or 1.
Is it 2 R's or 2 T's?
I pull it out, 1 R, 2 A's. So I pull out my driver's license, and I'm saving my license just like it. I thought the guy might think I'm a bad guy.
You're a faker.
There's 2 E's in Everett?
E-V-E-R-E-T-T.
Oh yeah, but there's not E-E. Nothing is ever
That's E.E. Cummings.
E.E. Cummings, yeah.
That's initials. That's
we got an early call today, so...
I lost my key. Couldn't find my keys. It's the worst feeling in the world not being able to find them.
You don't always put
yeah, you can't go anywhere.
I had everything laid out. I'm very scientific. I have the night before. I got the clothes I'm going to wear. I got everything laid out. And I forgot the one thing, the key.
The key to getting out of the house.
Without the key. So as naked as you are, you go for the key first.
Allen Ginsberg said, the key is in the window.
It is.
He said, I'm not, and you know what Robert Downey Sr. said? I'm not going to the frontier, I'm going to the window. Right?
Yeah, window. All right. Well, I don't get that.
It's the opening.
Look, if you want to do something, look out the window. Don't just keep dwelling on yourself. Look out the window. What do you see?
There's a world out there.
Yeah.
Don't do that sort of.
There's my keys. They're on the windowsill.
One of the first series I ever wrote, I ever thought of or created was 2 window washers. Because I always flipped out of the window washers.
90 feet high.
90 feet high.
Yeah.
Just with straps dangling in the wind.
I get seasick. Vertigo.
Oh, I get vertigo. Yeah, my knees get weak if I look over the edge.
When I was in
What do you mean get vertigo? Is vertigo, what is vertigo? Is vertigo a psychological condition?
It gets dizzy when you...
Physical brain malfunction?
Well, there's something called labyrinthitis, where the rocks inside your inner ear get dislodged,
yeah.
And you lose your sense of balance. You have to wait till they settle again. But when I was in...
And they snap them back in place.
Well, they settle. You take something that settles.
But don't they have to like...
Yeah, there's some physical movements you can do.
There's 7 exercises.
I get dizzy.
It's like Chinese checkers, the doctor explained it to me.
Yeah, that's right. You have to kind of reboot it.
So your little ball can pop out of there in the Chinese checker game.
They're crystals.
You're floating all around the brain, and you're spinning. Because I got up once, and the whole room was spinning around. That's a weird feeling.
But you're here today.
And yet everybody likes to get that feeling when they get drunk.
Yeah, they pay to get that feeling.
They want to get high. They want to get dizzy and spin. A good concussion would help them out.
I couldn't get out of bed one time. My stomach, my head spinning. I had to take like a meclizine. But anyway, when I was
You mean your balance was that bad?
I couldn't get out. Yeah, that's happened to me about once or twice.
What did the girl say you were with?
She went and got me a meclizine. I took it and laid there for like a half, 45 minutes or an hour.
What is meclizine?
It's something like, it's like a Dramamine. It just kind of, I don't know what it is exactly. It settles you down.
I think there's a guy that makes up these names for medicines.
Well, it's now computerized. You know, they put in all the possibilities, and computers will select names. And then the marketing guys sit around and say, well, we've got 20 names. Which one do we like the best? You know, they test them. So things like Abilify and Viagra, Cialis.
Because they're doing all the work, and we're not doing any thinking at all. So what's going to happen to the brain in about 50 years?
Atrophy.
50 minutes?
Yeah.
The brain could do something greater than
If you don't use it, it atrophies.
That's right.
I wanted to just, you guys both did a great interview the other day talking about David's art, and I hope you'll forgive me, David, for not moving the camera enough coming in on the art. I was just trying to keep you guys in frame, and I felt
You did a very good job for a
you
very
guys
nervous man.
were marvelous. So
You did a good job considering the state
David
of
is
mind.
incredible with doing the camera work and the speaking, and I can only do like one thing at a time.
Digress.
Well, at least you weren't chewing gum at the same time. Yeah. That would cause a problem.
But you were in the middle of saying something that but the last time I remember.
I was saying about when I was doing the movie Philadelphia, I was on the 25th floor at the Wyndham, and I look out the window on that diagonal that went past the Rodin Museum and then the Philadelphia Art Museum, and then there's a Greek church, 150-year-old. You did Philadelphia, or you did the Rocky, you know, where he goes up on the set. And I get up in the morning, and then I look out, and then at night I look out, and I get a little dizzy just being on the 25th floor.
Just looking out the window.
Well, just being on the 25th floor. You know, I don't know how people live on the 78th floor in New York City.
Yeah, it's looking down that gets me.
Yeah, I can't.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, you look way down, and you know my knees get weak, and the ground comes rushing up at me.
You too? You
Oh, yeah.
got that too?
Yeah.
I guess everybody got that.
It's a visual thing, you know.
Not wanting to be splattered on the pavement.
Yeah.
That's one of the first doctor's things they found out.
I couldn't go. You know, I used to get motion sickness. My dad would travel a lot, and I'd get
So you
sick.
never went anywhere.
We went all the time. I have to lie down in the back seat. I have to lie down in the back seat.
on what you said.
I can't even, if the TV's on, I cannot even read.
Yeah.
I can't even read something in front of the TV. Or if you were driving, and you said, Harry, look at these directions, and I'm one of the passengers, I couldn't do it. I'd start getting sick. I can't do it.
You can't distract your brain over it.
I have to just, if I'm
Concentrate on
say
what
if
you
we're
do.
in a car and you ask me to look at directions, I can't do it. I start getting sick.
So you have to have focus at all times.
I just have simplicity.
That's
I
good
can't-
for being an actor, I think. Simplicity.
Absolutely, you're focused on the character,
Yeah.
the line.
I saw the Roger Corman documentary last night out at the New Art. That was a pretty amazing documentary.
Did you ever do a Corman film?
Yeah, I did. I did Crazy Mama, Fighting Mad, Boxcar Bertha, and Caddo Lake, and then I worked with him about 4 times too. But he, you know, I asked him one time we were shooting. I said, who's your favorite filmmaker? And he said the Russian. I said Eisenstein. He said yeah. And then I said, what about American? He said Howard Hawks. Then he asked me, and I said, D.W. Griffith, John Ford, and Scorsese. He said, pick one. I said, John Ford. He said, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite filmmaker?
I don't have a favorite filmmaker because I'm not really into that art, but I'll tell you, I saw this Tinker Tailor.
Tinker Tailor, yeah.
And the places this guy starts shots, like he had one in the very beginning picture where you cut from one scene and you came right back in, and a plane was taking off from an airport coming toward the window, and the plane came right to you and then flew over, and your whole mind was in the plane, and the scene had nothing to do with the plane.
Yeah.
It's where the camera stayed there, and there was a girl talking to a guy, you know. But the idea, how does he get this idea? Now the next scene, she's gonna be talking on this balcony, and all of a sudden, great, I'll have a plane flying by, and the mind will go. Is that directing? That's the director-writer.
Movement. When John Demme started to do his first directorial job, he went to Roger Corman for advice. He had never been to film school. Corman told him 3 things. One relates to what you said. He said, always have movement in the background.
Yeah.
You know? And if you're shooting in a scene like this, always move the camera a little bit so it looks like there's movement, and because it is moving pictures. And then finally, he said, always have a theme. Whether you fulfill the theme or not, have a theme. You know, revenge or sibling rivalry, whatever. But you know, it's moving pictures, right? You just
But I'm
Oh, yeah.
saying that plane flying had nothing to do with the script.
but
at
it's
all.
movement.
It's movement.
Yeah, but I'm saying, how do you come up with that image that you see this plane flying like you think it's going to crash and zoop, it's over your head and bang you?
It could even just been location. All of a sudden, you're shooting somewhere, and here comes a plane.
So,
Or his location
he
scout
could-
said,
he
park
could-
it here.
He
you know?
could have just got the idea at that moment.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, seeking out those little vignettes are not pre-written. They're the director at work right there.
Some
Well,
of them.
the location people are kind of undercredited because a lot of that is the location
He
scout.
must come up with all this work while he's working on the script.
That's right.
And picturing what a world he's in.
Well, look at us. We have to thank the production designer. We have this great production design behind us, and the people, Robert among other people.
Yes,
we have to
and
thank for
how
that.
we had to fight to keep this place empty.
What do you think of that scene when the top echelon of spies?
Don't you hear
and
the
Tinker
roar of the
Tailor-
laughs? Don't you hear the roar of the laughs?
Yes, I hear 'em.
Good.
I'm waiting for them to
You're
die
talking,
down
you're
so they
talking
can
over
continue.
the roar of the laughs.
I know, but, but remember
I'll have to
the
add the laugh track.
checkerboard background when they're all sitting in that room with a all the main 5 guys.
Which movie?
Tinker Tailor.
Tinker Tailor.
Remember that? The checkerboard thing behind it?
Gee, there were so many things to notice in that movie.
Well, in Boxcar Bertha one time, there's a scene where Barbara Hershey becomes a hooker after she leaves the railroad and the social work, and she's standing here, and all of a sudden, here comes a truck full of fresh cut logs. Now, that was just accident, but there's a woman who's playing a hooker, and the fresh cut logs are right behind her, right?
Yeah.
That was accidental. You know?
Fresh cut logs.
Yeah. Right behind on the street. So
yeah, but how do you hook that up with being a hooker?
I'm just saying that was what happened in the scene. I'm not hooking it up. I'm just saying that's what happened. It's a fresh active business for her.
Some of the things you say, what great direction is just an accident.
Well, it could be.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got to
like in Rocky, there was a plant. There's a train going by. Like after the scene is over, there's a train going by, a subway train. It's in one of those poignant scenes that he has there.
This is my friend John Fines. You remember?
Hey,
Don
John,
and David?
Absolutely. Nice to see you.
How you doing?
Nice to see
He's
you.
one of the brightest young guys you ever meet. He's grad from Carnegie Tech, and he worked for Allen Ginsberg for a year. So good to see you, John.
Are you getting 15% out of me, or
10.
10. I like 15.
It's only 10%.
That's a definite Bronx accent I hear there.
No,
my
Austin.
folks are from New York? So
No, I was kidding. It
Yeah,
sounded
he's
like
kidding,
a
yeah.
Kentucky twang there.
Well, I lived everywhere, so I don't know what happened to my speech patterns. It's a mixture of
John,
Northeast,
you
Midwest,
can't see
South.
John, but he's a really attractive-looking young man.
And he's smart too.
And he's a poet and an actor.
A poet is an actor, but I don't.
Or an actor is a poet, you know.
A poet is an actor.
Only a poet has to.
I
do
think
it alone.
everybody's a writer and everybody's an actor. That's what I say.
Yeah, but
When
who's
you
getting paid?
Well, then there's a professional step.
The actors.
That's one of the things
And nobody's
I liked
getting paid.
about- That's one of the things I liked about going to acting school at that time of my life, because I had no job. I was just starting out. I had no idea you wanted to be an actor.
The actresses.
But when someone told me I could have the GI Bill of rights and go there, and I followed a girl to an acting school, I saw what was going on, and I went there, and why did I tell that story?
You asked me. I'm sitting here wondering.
Yeah, you digressed in there and you twisted my
Out of work actors, I think that's what we're talking about.
Huh?
Out of work
Oh
actors.
yes. I said this is a great thing to be, because now I could never tell people what I did for a living, because I was doing nothing.
Yeah.
So now I could say I'm an actor, and anybody could say they're an actor, because actors never work anyway.
Yeah, you're still doing nothing,
So
but
if
you have a
job, then that's suspicious. Even if you have blood stains on your head, they don't. They don't suspect you of anything. So what do you do? I'm an actor. Wow, and no one will doubt you. No one will say, "Sure, you give me a film." You know.
Don, I was over at Farmers Market recently, and I left my keys in my car. So I called AA. Here comes a tow truck guy.
Don't
and
talk about keys. I forgot my keys this
So anyway, so he gets me and he sees there's a script there on my thing. He says, "Oh, you're an actor?" I say, "Yeah." So just a minute. He goes to his tow truck and he gets an 8x10. He says, "Could you recommend me to your agent?" The tow truck guy.
Of course.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Because how many jobs is the door open? You know, you go for some stinking little $2 a minute job, whatever it is, and you'll have to go out and wait in line. There'll be 20 people you have to fill out.
It's better than swallowing goldfish or playing pee-wee golf.
Where your father was
golf.
never in jail. I didn't hear that because I was too busy talking. That's the problem. You can't listen and talk at the same time.
Yeah, it's hard, you know.
It's terrible.
One has to be the boss.
And remember too, right?
If you could listen and talk at the same time, I think that would be interesting. Because then you hear what you have to say, you probably never talk again.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what Gregory Corso, the poet, he said, when you're speaking to a group, like there's 3 of you here, but I should be thinking of 4.
Yes.
Because take yourself out of just you and think of the 4. So think of that extra, there's an extra person.
Like yourself.
Think of yourself as a separate entity, as an entity, as part
But
of the
don't think
group
of
that you're
yourself
talking
too much.
to. Well, that's the idea of it, really.
It's real easy for you to figure out the other guy. Figure out yourself, forget about it.
Gregory
I wouldn't give myself a challenge like that. I'll figure out anybody else, but to figure out myself.
Well, I think that's a step of I don't know if it's a step to figure yourself out so much as just to not be stuck in yourself when you're just, if you're talking to a
But
group.
that's how you get stuck in yourself, thinking about yourself. You see, how else can you get stuck in yourself? If you weren't thinking about yourself, you'd never get stuck. You never saw a conceited guy who's not thinking about himself.
Thank you, Jackie Mason. Well, the word.
I did start writing for Jackie Mason at one time before he found out.
But get back to Gregory Corso for 1 minute. One of my favorite lines of his is a
You
poet
want to drop
standing.
Jackie Mason just like
No,
that.
I got-
That's anti-Semitic.
I got-
You're a Midwestern Quaker,
Hey.
and you just lost Bensonhurst.
Yeah.
Bensonhurst just turned you off.
No, but I got back to Gregory Corso. He said,
Well, where's
a
he
poet
from? Where's he
standing on-
from? But nobody knows where Gregory.
Well, he must be Italian.
New York.
He's more famous than
Italian.
Jackie
Okay,
Mason.
so you got the balance there.
So he
You
says,
got lucky.
He said, a poet standing on a street corner waiting for no one has power.
Okay.
So who are you waiting for?
No, but I'm not a poet. But the word has the power. But the word is within the poet.
Jackie Mason, he is funny, huh?
Poet, naturally funny, and naturally, I never saw, heard, or breathed of another human being that's so instinctively funny to the point that he has no life.
Oh yeah,
What do you mean by that?
he's just busy being
Jackie
funny.
Mason has no life at all. He
He's
has
a rabbi.
no woman that loves him. He has no child. He tried to deny his
All
own,
his life, not in love?
in life, he tried to deny his own child. In the picture, you know how crazy Jackie Mason looks,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
And the child looks exactly like him. Could you imagine if they said, it's not my kid, I'll tell you the truth. It doesn't matter whether I'm his kid or not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether I think I want to be his kid, and I don't want to be his kid. But Jackie, but he has no life. He'll talk to somebody, and you could be bleeding from the ear, and he won't see the blood drops falling on you. He'll keep on talking. So I bought the car. They didn't want to buy the car, and you're shocked if you say, Jackie, my ear is bleeding.
No.
I have to go. He does, but that concentration, and I don't think it's a personal thing. A personal focus that he did. I think there's a gene in there that doesn't allow this man freedom at all. Because Jackie Mason right now, or any place he is in the world, at 4 o'clock in the morning, you'll see him wandering down some alley.
Are comedians, do many of them, are they always processing?
Look how he got into the whole show, this guy.
he's
Walked up, I didn't even know who he was, walked up, sat down at a
before.
table.
What am I, chopped liver?
Harry recognized him from
You've met him
some
before, too.
union meeting or something.
Yeah.
And before you know, he's talking. Now he's part of the show, and we got to get his name because we can't
John
lose this guy.
Fines.
That's it. Have a new show called Find the Cast.
But
Yeah,
People
find the
have to
cat.
drift into your show.
That's reality TV. It's the
I
new
love
thing.
that. That's a great. I love
you
that.
talked about Jackie
Good.
Mason. He's a rabbi, so he must have given up part of his life to
He
study
was a rabbi.
religion,
He
right?
was a rabbi.
He was.
And
He is a
his
rabbi.
brother, I met his brother. He's the nicest guy in the
He's a
world.
rabbi.
Nicest guy in the world, but doesn't,
Yeah.
and has a great sense of humor, and has a PhD, and is a brilliant guy, and it's funny, but not like, see, Jackie's funny to a sickness. That's right.
Did he?
Yes,
Was he ever
indeed.
one of the dancing rabbis?
Of course.
But on top
Well,
of it,
I like to watch them.
Jackie has one really, he's very serious in his brain. If you stopped his laughter and analyzed all that, what he's really saying, and when he does say what he really says, which he does now.
Are we getting close to the
We're at the end.
Mel Brooks and
Let me
Woody
get
Allen
the
and Lenny
last
Bruce,
word,
weren't they?
okay?
I mean, they were
Yeah,
all these
you
equal.
can give us the last word.
Don?
Mel Brooks, well, he has a great question. Is Mel Brooks and what's his name? Who else?
Woody Allen, even not my favorite, but in stand-up days.
They're
but Lenny Bruce.
they're not the stand-up comic.
Woody started
The
that.
comedian.
way.
Yeah, but he wasn't very good at it.
No, okay.
You had to sit down and concentrate, and you got to put up a lot of nervous tics. And,
David said it's time for the
oh,
last
it's time
word.
for the last
I got
word.
it, okay.
The last word.
What's the last word?
The last word is sullen, S-U-L-L-E-N, which comes from the Latin word solus, S-O-L-U-S, which means alone, and each one of us do our creating alone.
We're sullen.
We just asked for a word, not a speech.
All right, you want me to
One
do it
word,
again?
sold.
No.
That's it.
Solemn.
And the man, because he has a child, he used to make those speeches in the schools. He's a very
did.
patriotic man.
You're really working
And
today.
Say goodbye, Don.
What was the name of your friend?
John, it still is his name. It's not
Thank him,
was, it
thank him,
is.
thank him, thank
His
him.
name is John
Thank him.
Fines. Thank you, John.
John what?
Fines.
John Fines. Thank you, John. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, David. Thank you,
And
Don.
thank you all. Bye-bye.